Afternoon, Don. John Weaver from Roseman, California, the west side of the United States, my friend. Having a hot and humid day. Yeah, we got the storm systems coming up and giving us a lot of environmental grief, but you heard about Maui, right, man? It's 2:34 in the afternoon here, Pacific Standard Time on the California coast. It's still the 10th of August, 2023. I was going to talk about the Panama Canal. I'll send you an email clip along with my video. I'll send it out to you on your email address there, pal. And I'll send a link over to on one of your vids out there regarding the Panama Canal. Maui, on the other hand. I notice you haven't touched on it much. I was watching the news reports. I got a few vids. I may send a few links to you in case you get bored. And you really want to get bored, you watch mine. And Don, I've been through them before, but not on Maui. Maui was nowhere equipped to deal with this situation. They're nowhere equipped for it. The situation they had was what we would call a perfect storm out here. You got the field for it, you got the drought sucking up the moisture left and right, and you got high winds. And what do you got? Holy terror. Out here, for a long while, even before I was born, California's had its own situations regarding fires. Hell, the United States and your country is having issues with it still. It's Don, it's terrifying to be almost in the middle of the damn thing. It's terrifying. I'm seeing all the videos at this point over here, and I was let's just say that I was having flashbacks. I hadn't been in a town that was lost, but I lived in the San Fernando Valley. And if you happen to look on Google Maps or Google Earth, you'll see the geography of it. We're basically surrounded by mountain ranges, and in those mountain ranges, you have potential fuel. And in a drought situation, with enough high winds, and we get scared to death when it comes down to where the Santa Ana winds coming through. Winds directions coming through, blowing to from east to west with warm, hot air. Or sometimes those winds will go eastward, northeastward. Everybody goes ape out here in Southern California. For those that lived through the fire seasons and actually seen 20 or 30 miles away from home or about 5 miles from home, doesn't matter how close the fires are, it still scares the living crap out of you, Don. And if you happen to get those kind of things happening in your area, I feel you. Believe me, I do. A lot of prayers for Maui. I imagine no regions having issues concerning about their cruising in around the area. Must have heard about those. Concerning about the Panama Canal, I saw your video today and I did a quick Google check on it. Global warming, pal. Climate changes. Water levels drop. Drought kicks in. You only have enough, probably sufficient enough water throughout the canal just for transports. But when you're talking about cruising, you're talking about tonnage and water displacement and how much water you're going to have to keep them ships afloat. And if the waters are dropping down, you got to make priorities at this point. Royal Caribbean's not going to be the only one. Everyone else is going to be dropping the ball on this one. My instinct on this one. No, I haven't been in a cruising game, but I can pretty read not just the news articles, but what the weather's trying to say sometimes. We get fire seasons happening more and more often on a 24/7, 365 out here. Our climate's changed throughout the years. It's gotten hotter, worse. And when we had sufficient enough drought happening in California, we've had drought before, but not this severe, pal. This wasn't just a weather change. Hearing all the other fires happening in different places, different flooding left and right. Juneau, glaciers melting. Not exactly during the summertime when they're about to tear out town portions of Juneau. I saw the videos on that. I was looking at the soil erosion. We even had the same situations out here on the West Coast. We have it in different seaside and hillside communities. Lack of moisture to just create a little bit of cohesive tension, traction, coagulation, to keep the soil together. But if there's sufficient enough moisture, it will move it. If there's not enough anchorage in the soil, and there's been a lot of depletion of the moisture, then the soil is losing its cohesiveness. And there we go. Geologists and meteorologists, when they keep showing you part of this one and they're still trying to research it, yeah. It doesn't make me the smartest guy in the world when I took a couple of classes concerning about geology. I mean, 30 years long ago, but in this day and age as well. Because I wanted to update my understanding about geology more and more. How and why and what the process is for the Earth movement. And how things are affecting. There's no such thing as earthquake weather. Weather can affect the surface, but when you're talking about upheaval from the magma, shifting of the continents, shifting of the plates overriding each other one way or another, but it's not weather. It's the internal forces of the earth. But there are occasions when there are soil in itself falling to pieces. A house on a seaside cliff, you think it's been there for a long period of time. The minerals in the ground and the cohesiveness. If there are certain types of minerals in the ground and they've been slowly dissolving, it's only a matter of time before even sinkholes, certain types of minerals do dissolve. Limestone, calcium. I'm surprised the White Cliffs of Dover haven't done anything yet in England, but I'm still waiting for that one. I'm still waiting for the rest of the cliff to go. But they seem to be pretty strong. If they're limestone, they're going to be dissolvable. Go into the caverns and you can see the stalactites and the stalagmites. The types are dripping down, and the mites are receiving all the drippings and building up because of the mineral deposits in the liquid. Take a look at the Carlsbad Cavern pictures about those. I don't have a letter or degree, but I've been learning a lot of stuff in my life on stuff like this. So yeah. And you also noticed that I hadn't said anything concerning about the yeah, well, 4 years old. I still have the scar. Open heart surgery. 3 times up and 3 times back again. Let's just say somebody upstairs wanted me here more alive than dead. But I can tell you something: a 4-year-old can learn a lot by observing and hearing everybody else using such interesting language. Yeah, my mother was embarrassed as hell because her own language rubbed off on me, and I embellished on it more. It did not disturb the cardiologist, though. He's heard worse. And it was a staple remover that you use to remove staples from papers. That's what he used to remove it off of mine, too. I didn't count. I wasn't counting. Scar used to be a lot bigger when I was a lot younger and more pronounced. And so was the pain. Oh, it's been a fine. I mean, I had plumbing issues when I was born. I had valves leaking that allowed bad blood to mix in with good blood. I was tired all the time, getting sick all the time. One sharp-eared cardiologist heard and threw me in a hospital. That day, there was no hesitation. Yeah, real fun. It's going to be a solemn trip for you. It's going to be a solemn matter. Me personally, I wish I could do the trips, but my mother wanted to be scattered out in a little town called Hiawatha, Utah. Used to be a mining town decades and decades ago, before I was born. And my brother wanted two things: be scattered at sea because he was part Navy, and also he's Texan. I'm not willing to go down to Texas just yet. Couldn't afford a damn trip anyway. Well, when you're living on fixed, bills come first. Anyway, Don, I hope you're feeling better. You're trying to keep your spirits good. You're trying to keep them up there. Don't be surprised if you actually hear somebody cursing and cussing up a storm because they had the staples pulled off of their chest with a staple remover that people use to remove from papers. We can both relate to the pain. I'll talk at you later, Don.